Greetings once again and welcome. This is the Global Caregiver Forum. I am Beverly and I am a caregiver. Do you know, until you become a caregiver, you've just no idea what it entails these days. Some say in a nutshell, caregivers do what nurses used to do. I happen to have been a registered nurse, a nursing assistant, and they deal with all spectrum of medical care, whether you're a family caregiver, whether you're affiliated with a facility, a nursing home, an Alzheimer's assisted living facility. Sometimes you're doing a private one-to-one in a home. You know, caregivers today are doing drainage tubes. They're doing catheters. They're doing dialysis ports and other complicated medical devices that nurses used to do. Caregivers sometimes perform wound care, deliver injections. They're manipulating and administering oxygen, reading glucose blood levels. They're performing personal hygiene. They do a whole bunch of things that never in a million years would you have thought they'd be asked to do. Many of those tasks are extremely unpleasant and cumbersome and sometimes scary. Among themselves, caregivers, they share tips online and their numerous Facebook pages how to handle when, for example, you're giving someone a bath, wiping someone's behind, changing a catheter bag. And yes, surprise, surprise, delivering these services today that once fell squarely on the shoulders of a trained professional. There are studies today that note that caregivers are learning by trial and error. How scary. As we speak, the last report I read says 44 to 47 million people worldwide have Alzheimer's disease, and every 4 seconds there's a new diagnosis of dementia occurring somewhere in the world. Caregivers are often unwilling participants, and most of them are usually voiceless. Because, as I've heard in conversations and in seminars, nobody listens to us anywhere. Well, you know, caregivers are daughters, they're sons, they're spouses, they're not skilled nurses. And what we're asking you today is to take a moment and just think, if you know a caregiver, sit down one day and ask her to explain, if she has the time, what her job entails. They have now solid research where they've found that caregivers have higher stress level, higher rates of chronic diseases, greater risk of depression, social isolation, and not to mention financial losses. Because caregivers, this is a job where you aren't paid as a doctor or a nurse. There is a syndrome called caregiver syndrome, and it was reported by a Stanford University study, reported that 40% of Alzheimer's caregivers die from stress-related disorders sometimes before the person they're caring for dies. I want today to ask you all to join my forum. If this video or this conversation resonates with you, click the subscribe button and join me for a so much needed, robust and bold conversation. This forum is it's narrated and regulated by a caregiver. Who else will know what's really going on? I sometimes believe that caregiving, it's a very under-regulated industry. And it needs to be regulated where caregivers are constantly trained, kind of like raising the bar. So we are going to be able to send out people that are not burnt out or easily burned out, people who don't mind asking for counseling. Is this the right profession for me? Not everyone should or could be a caregiver. It is demanding physically and emotionally. In the future, you'll join my blogs where we'll talk about caregiver burnout, caregiver abuse, on both sides of the spectrum. Is the caregiver industry run by only women? What about the male caregivers? We want to hear your stories, get your input. This is really a numbers game. While the need for caregivers are increasing, the number of available, highly skilled, confident caregivers are decreasing. That's where I come in. I wrote a manifesto, and I just wrote a very well-selling ebook currently sold on Amazon and a couple of other sites. It's called The Beverly Methods. I created a six-step approach to raising the bar in caregiver confidence training. We're going to need to send out confident, happy, and contented individuals who are going to provide excellent care so grandmother, grandfather, or whoever needs the care can remain in their home and live a full, independent, and dignified life. So now we know all about this. The question becomes, what are we going to do about it? Ask Beverly. Join me, www.theglobalcaregiver.com, and give me a like on Facebook, theglobalcaregiver.com, and pick up a copy of my book, The Beverly Method. Empower yourself. For the future, I want you to remain a caregiver. This is a noble job. Sometimes I like to say a caregiver and the person they're caring for. It's like a sacred relationship. You're valuable. If you're a caregiver, you're valuable. And we're asking that communities around the world set up systems in place, including the larger healthcare community. I want you to now take a moment to respect, honor, and support caregivers wherever you come in contact with them. We need you. Join me at my next video coming up in a day or so. See you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.